Welcome to Speaking of Entrepreneurship, a podcast powered by the Center for Entrepreneurs at Cuyahoga Community College's Corporate College. Here, we dive into real conversations with industry experts, innovative founders, and business leaders who share their insights, challenges, and strategies for success. Whether you're launching a startup, scaling your business, or just exploring the entrepreneurial mindset, this is your space to learn, adapt, and thrive.
Mission-driven work attracts some of the most passionate entrepreneurs and founders that I know. But passion doesn't lead, run, and grow your organization alone. Structure, systems, and leadership does. Today, we are talking about what actually keeps mission-driven organizations alive over the long haul and why really having everything together is critical to your success. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Speaking Entrepreneurship. I am CP, your host, and I am so pumped about our guest today. Today, we have Harry VandeVelde III. I love that name, by the way. Harry is a nonprofit executive and an organizational change agent with more than 4 decades of experience leading complex mission-driven organizations. He is also an instructor in the nonprofit program here at Cuyahoga Community College. And he has served as CEO, foundation leader, and strategist, raising tens of millions of dollars and guiding organizations through growth, transition, and transformation. What makes Harry's perspective valuable for you guys today? Well, he has seen it all, and he knows what works and what doesn't work, and what quietly breaks organizations over time. And we are going to go deep today to give you some insight. So welcome to Speaking Entrepreneurship, Harry. How are you?
Thank you so much. Oh, it's fantastic to be with you.
Yeah, I am so excited that you are here.
Oh, thanks.
Your 4 decades of experience is really going to hit home for our audience because we've got lots of folks who watch and who listen and who ultimately are just getting started down the path that you have been trudging for years. So you're going to drop some knowledge bombs on us today,
I hope so.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm ready to get started. I'm excited.
Good.
So I want to start really by talking a little bit about your journey, right? Mm-hmm. Who you are, what got you into this, and what you've really identified about the real reasons why you see organizations struggle, founders struggle, and nonprofits never really being able to get into the mission-driven work that they're designed to do.
Yeah, thanks. I thought about, as we were preparing to come together, the baseline for me has always been the fact that I was raised by parents that were service oriented.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that that's very true for a great percentage of the population.
Yeah, I've had that same, I call it Peace Corps center, like a Peace Corps soul, right? And serving, I think, really does go across all types of organizations, nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations. I think that everybody kind of starts, especially when they're kind of kicking off a dream or starting an organization, they want to solve problems and serve people. So your parents got you into it first.
Yeah, I think, my dad was in the health world and my mom was an educator. But on top of that, they just were the kind of people that always had people in the house. It was an open door. Why so-and-so spending the night? Oh, they just need a place to stay.
Wow.
It was that kind of a deal. We didn't have locks on our doors. That was the kind of the way I was raised.
Where did you grow up? Because we had
Lakewood,
bolts
Ohio.
and locks on the window. Oh, Lakewood.
Yeah, I grew up in Lakewood. But
I had bolts and locks and bars. And
it was just that way. And then in 5th grade, I knew, sitting in the St. Clement gym, because of the men that were coaching me, that I wanted to be a teacher and a coach.
Oh, wow.
And it was the only thing that I ever wanted to do. And I've been in the non-for-profit world my entire life.
That's awesome to kind of get that nudge of knowing exactly what you want to do at such an early age, and it being kind of driven from what you saw, what you witnessed, but also what pulled you in that direction. Yeah. Do you think that that's really what drives a lot of nonprofit founders as well when they decide to go out there and start this organization that literally in the name has, you're not going to make any profit in it?
That's it.
Yeah.
I really think that the humble heart that exists in so many people is the driving force. They see an ill in society or in a culture or in a neighborhood. And they are in their core driven by mission.
Yeah. That humble heart. I love that phrase because I think that now more than ever, we need it, right? I mean, it is kind of nuts out here where you kind of feel like we're always living in this space. At least that's what we see on the news and what we see everywhere else, that everybody's out for themselves and everybody's trying to, get ahead themselves and everybody's just trying to, go for themselves. And I guess that's not really true when you frame it that way, because there's still lots of folks out there starting these organizations that are designed to serve the community and to help others.
Yeah.
So,
factoid wise, if we wanted to drop a little factoid on our viewers.
I love factoids. Let's do it.
If you were to go to the kind of the annual Bible of philanthropy, it's called Giving USA. It's full of all the facts that you want. You can really drill into it. And nonprofit nerds kind of love this little printout. You'll see there, jumps right off like page 3 of the report, that 75% of all the nonprofits in the United States of America are small nonprofits, less than $50,000 a year.
Wow.
There's massive nonprofits in the United States of America, Red Cross, Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, we can go on and
on. The
big
boys, right?
But 75% of the nonprofits are driven really by sweat equity and by that individual who took the time to fill out a 501c3 appliation and said, I'm going to get into this.
In that Peace Corps soul.
Yeah. There was a old joke that we used to kind of walk past each other in the hallway sometimes, and we'd say, how's it going today? And the response back was, man, begging for a living is tough.
Well, let's go into that. I mean, because while that humility and that humble heart, as you've mentioned, is oftentimes what drives folks to start that nonprofit, to get that 501c3, is that enough to really make it happen, you think? No.
I've had the greatest blessing in my life being able to come and teach here at Tri-C in the entrepreneurial division of the school and in the nonprofit track.
Right.
And within the first 10 minutes of our getting together on day one, I remind everybody that you are all here because you have a dream. And a dream is really important, but a dream without a plan becomes a nightmare. And I kind of want to give them a little jerk back and for them to understand that their dream is going to fade quickly if they don't have a plan.
As my millennial children would say, facts. That's facts.
There you go.
Right? Because it's also, I mean, whether it's even a nonprofit, a for-profit, those statistics that you just mentioned in Giving USA can kind of go across both. And that strategy is going to be critical to the success. You can't just say, I'm just going to go for it and not have any idea what doing your market research using a tool like Giving USA is going to be so important. And just kind of creating that framework. I like to call it, when I'm coaching my students, the clarity phase. And I think it's the phase when you're starting an organization that people spend the most time in, because your brain is kind of like, I have all these ideas. I don't really know which direction to go. I don't really know what to do. I don't know what the steps are. I don't know really, who I'm serving. And so spending a good amount of time in that clarity phase and figuring out, what you want to do, what your business model is going to be, what your strategy is going to be to get started, what the step-by-step action plan is going to be, and really diving into that clarity, who your customer is, who you're going to serve, who you can attract and sell your mission to or sell your product to, is all a part of that clarity phase. And I always say it's step one. Clarity phase is step one. There's multiple things you got to get done in there, but it's step one when you're starting an organization. So if you are telling your students, in this day one that you're meeting with them with, what are all the things that you think they really need to focus on as they begin to create that strategy and gain that clarity around moving forward with, this mission-driven work or this organization that's designed to serve their audience? Yeah.
Just because it says non-for-profit doesn't mean that it's not a business.
Oh.
And I think that we need to make sure that on very first day one, they have to understand that they have to build their toolbox just as if they went and got an MBA.
Facts again.
They just
facts.
have to make sure of that. And the very first question that I always ask them, as we've written down the name of their non-for-profit, the very next thing on the line is, what's your vision? Where do you want to be in 10 years? That's what a vision statement is. Where do you want to be in 10 years? The third thing, if name, vision, then mission. And mission is, what are we going to do on a daily basis to achieve our goal?
Yeah. And that is so important to attracting funders.
Right.
Right.
But I say to them all the time, have you looked up in the old Google box how many other 501c3s are doing what you want to do?
That market research.
Competition. Just as much competition exists out there for Tom, who wants to sell widgets, as Sally, who wants to take care of children in need.
Yeah.
There's only so many dollars that are out there, and people make decisions for both profit-driven institutions and for philanthropic decisions. You only have so many dollars. So if you're going to compete, you better be ready to compete with a case for support that is airtight. You can't have, in the old foundation world, we used to call it wiggle words, because donors can see right through wiggle words. Donors are savvy.
Yeah.
I've decided that I'm going to reach into my pocket and give you a part of my hard-earned money.
And if you can't articulate the passion that drove you to start that nonprofit, create that vision, pick that name, put that mission out there. If you can't articulate it effectively, on the for-profit side, because I've got coachees that are nonprofit founders as well as for-profit, it would be equivalent to your kind of unique value proposition, right? And if you can't articulate it where it's going to immediately, in 30 seconds or less, capture someone's heart, you're not going to get very far, because when you're starting a nonprofit, I always tell folks, it's almost harder. In a part of my career, I spent a long time, at the beginning of my career, I was doing nonprofit consulting specifically, and actually worked in nonprofit organizations before I went all in on my consulting business. And I was the development director.
There you go.
And my job was to sell a mushy feeling. I used to say, I'm out here selling heartstrings, folks.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that we know whose heart it is that we're trying to attract and get to, and exactly what their heartbeat is telling them is the most important stuff. And we got to be able to articulate it. So, those things that you're telling folks are right on the money. Yeah.
So I think, just to kind of dovetail into that, if I could drop another little factoid out for folks to keep in mind as they pursue this noble vision.
Yeah.
Don't not do it, but do it with open eyes, open ears, and ask a lot of questions, and know that there are 3 reasons proven on an annual basis for the last 50 years in all analysis, 3 reasons why people will write you a check. And
What
if
are
you
those?
keep those 3 reasons in mind as you plan, you're going to be that much closer to success. Number 1.
All right. We're getting them.
People believe in the mission of your organization. People believe in your mission, your story. Make it airtight, make it clear, make it succinct, make it understandable, and have metrics that prove what you do generates a change.
Impact numbers, right?
Number 2, that you are a good leader. People give to people. It's a truism for a reason. So surround yourself with good people and build a great board. Those are the 2 next things that you have to do. Surround yourself with people that are good at things that you're not good at, and build a great board. People give to people. And then the third building block is you must be fiscally responsible.
Oh, yes.
If you do those 3 things, craft a great mission, surround yourself with great leaders on both your board as well as your staff. And then if you can get as close to 99 cents on the dollar of gift to mission, you're going to find yourself walking in tall poppy. It's going to be it's going to be a great takeaway.
I love those 3 points. I mean, I want to dive a little bit and unpack that because, I think that first, step number 2, the second thing that you gave is build your board. And from sitting on lots of boards, doing lots of nonprofit consulting work myself, working with startup founders and grassroots founders, that is something that I think people just assume is the easiest part. Yeah. And when they're initially establishing their organizations, before they even do the 501c3 part, when they're just setting up their not-for-profit corporation with their state, they're like, I'm just going to build my board with my friends and family because I just need to put some folks on this form, and let me call my auntie and be like, hey, auntie, you want to be on my board? And, I'm just going to go ahead and fill this form. And then they're sitting across from me in a coaching session and they're like, I don't know why nobody's showing up for these meetings. I don't know how to get them involved. I'm supposed to have a board that's helping me. I don't have no help, and they're like, and I can't get any money. And I'm like, well, let's talk about your board and what your recruitment process is and what your recruiting strategy is and who you're targeting and how you're building out that basic infrastructure for your organization. Because when you're building out your board, that's a structural piece because I focus on structures and systems and processes and strategies and squads, right? And I'm like, this is a structural squad for your organization. Let's talk about what that looks like. And then they're like, well, I just called my auntie and I asked my mom and 3 of my kids are on my board. And I'm like, oh, that's what's happening. So if you had to give your students, our listeners, our viewers, some guidance around that most important component, that point number 2, what would you tell them? How do they go around? How they go about building this board? Because I know what I tell folks. It's definitely about a process and being strategic, but where do they start?
Sure.
When they're doing that?
Yeah. And I love it because what you've just said, I use that in class. And you can see the people that are sitting in their desks. And when I go, okay, raise your hand if you have at least 2 family members and an auntie on your board. And all the hands go up. I said, you're going to have to craft a we don't need you anymore note to your auntie.
Yes, because it will offend them too. They're like, I don't want to tell my mom I'm kicking her off. I'm like, you got to kick mom off.
So here's another simple little set of rules to keep in mind. Okay, rule number 1, your board needs to be people that have influence and affluence. Very simple. Boards exist for gaining support, number 1, affluence. They need to be able to give gifts. You need to create a giving structure so that board members, when you orient them on, they know that they have to give a gift every year.
Keyword orient them on, like have a whole process.
You must
onboard them,
train them
recruit
up.
them. Yes, you got to train them.
Anybody who wants to, they can reach out to me. I'll send you a document, real simple contract that you sit down and say, you must give me the 3 T's or the 3 W's. Time, talent, and treasure. Or work, wealth, and wisdom, whichever you like. But
all 6.
Give it to me.
Give me all the T's and the W's if I'm starting out.
In the old days, boards were driven by what we used to call letterhead boards. They had the whole 11 inches of the letter would be all the board members.
That's so hilarious. I just had a conversation with a client just the other day. I'm like, why is this letterhead changing every 15 seconds? And it's because the entire board is in the yes.
Yeah. Those days are over. We need boards. I'd rather have a board of 12 people who will pull the wagon than 30 people who don't read the board book and don't come to meetings and are using my board for their corporate climb. Right? In the old days, you used to want to go into your boss and say, hey, I'm on 3 boards now. I'm representing the bank out there. I'm representing the construction company out there. I'm representing the law firm out there. No. You join a board because you want to advance their mission.
Right. And work. Especially if someone's just starting. You are going to work. You're going to be
Guess what? You're going to be at a meeting at least once a month. Committee meetings. Subcommittee meetings, task force meetings.
In the community.
Out raising money.
Asking for money.
Board meetings, board retreats.
Guiding strategy.
Got to be there.
Building plans. Yep.
So time, talent, and treasure.
Yep.
Very first one. You got to give me time. So the question I always ask when I look at somebody about building their board is I always ask them to ask one question. Will you return my phone calls?
Wow.
Just really simple.
Will you show up? Yes, those are
What's
great
the number
questions.
one rule of for-profit business? Be present. It's the very same rule that we have on the nonprofit side. Will you be present? Mm-hmm. And by be present, I mean you will have read your board book before you came into a meeting. You will have attended committee meetings so that when you're in the full board, you can talk about the granularity of the subcommittee you sit on.
And the work that's been done.
That's going on.
Yep.
So that to me is really at the heart and soul of an ED or a president of a non-for-profit sitting down and seeking, number one, first and foremost, the board chair that's going to give up the most time.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who are allocating their influence and affluence to invite people to come on the board. Mm-hmm. And then the second part of that equation is use your committee work for minor league ball. Test people.
Yep.
Don't bring them on the board unless you've seen them in action.
It's your bench.
You have to get them through minor league ball.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really important for a non-for-profit to become successful, is driven by, that second building block, which is people look at the leadership and they look at both sides of it, the staff side and the volunteer side. That's why we print them in annual reports. That's why we print them in the special event. We print them there because people, that's a takeaway, and they'll go through and they'll, I didn't know that Tom was on this board.
And they got to bring their skill sets and talents too. Like I even tell, my nonprofit coachees and students and friends, I'm like, you got to make sure that as you're building your board, once you get that core initial folks, then you need to do a board assessment every year to determine what skill sets exist on your board, uncovering.
Exactly.
Don't just look at what people's bios say. They may have undercover skills and talents that they can really bring to help you grow this organization. Yep. Find out what's missing on your board and then be very strategic with who you're looking for to fill those gaps. Like if you're at a point in your nonprofit where, oh my gosh, it's time to start building out our operational staff.
Yes.
But I don't know nothing about HR.
Yep.
And as I look through my board assessment and I look at their real skill sets, I can tell that no one on my board really has any kind of idea how to function from an HR perspective, someone that can give me guidance as I'm getting started. So now when I'm out there in the community, when I'm talking to my other board members, I'm saying we need someone that has HR experience. That's who we're targeting, so that even that recruitment process can be very strategic and building that skill set. Do you have board members that have HR experience? Do you have board members that have marketing experience? Because that's a piece of what you'll need. Do you have board members that have leadership experience or that have fundraising experience that can actually help you develop policies and procedures? Do you have a lawyer? Yeah. Do you have a CPA that can be your treasurer? Yep. Like, be very strategic with who you're recruiting, and you're, like you said, building that team around you. And I want to dive and unpack.
Can I just throw
go ahead.
I want to throw one little tidbit in there, and that is make sure your board bylaws, because your board bylaws dictate what your board looks like.
Yep.
Okay. The bylaws are the guiding light. Make sure your bylaws have clearly stated that your board will also have clear representation of the constituent base that you represent.
Absolutely.
If you are creating a school, make sure that you have
some teachers,
a faculty member. Make sure that you have a student,
a principal, right?
A student,
parents, right?
Right. So always make sure. Don't operate in a vacuum, right? You have to have the voice of what you're working for at that table. We all know the famous old saying, right? And that is, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Make sure those people are at the table.
Absolutely.
You're working for them.
Yep.
So I didn't want to interrupt you there, but
no,
I think that's really important to keep in mind.
It is.
It doesn't do you any good to have all Indian chiefs.
Oh, I agree. And if you can't count on your board to kind of guide that leadership piece there and to really know and keep you abreast of what's really happening in your audience, on the for-profit side, I'm like, you got to get audience feedback all the time. You have to get customer feedback. It's the same premise. Have that person in your boardroom every single month where you can say, is this really an issue, or what's the most prominent issue that we can create a program around and then get fundraising around and get support around? So I think that that's key. And the last thing before we kind of wrap out and I have you leave your most important final factoid for our audience, I want to talk just briefly around the number 3 thing you mentioned, and that's fiscal. Fiscal responsibility, fiscal management, financial management, and practices that I think are strong. And I just want to make sure that we're telling folks how critically important that is, because out of the 3 pieces of advice that you gave them, the 2 that I see, especially startup founders or, founders who are still under that, couple $100,000 mark in their budget yet, or even less than $100,000 in their budget. Those are the 2 things that I see they drop the ball on the quickest. And, just thinking instantly, well, I'm going to start a nonprofit. I'm going to be the executive director. And, that means I can give myself a paycheck. Right. So that's why I'm starting this. Or, I think that it's going to be easier to get grant funding if I start a nonprofit because I don't have to really sell anything. I can just ask some folks to give me money. And really understanding the importance of those financial statements, that reporting requirement, the fiduciary responsibility that the board is taking on, understanding that your information is going to be public. People have access to it. None of that's really your money, sir or ma'am. Get a grip with that. But really having strong financial practices in place, making sure that you've got financial structure, set up QuickBooks, find a good nonprofit specializing, accountant that can help you, or bookkeeper that can really help you track, because restricted funds are different, unrestricted. So let's give them a little bit of, give them a little bit of knowledge around how important number 3 is.
Yeah, the quickest way for you to lose your 501c3 status is to, in fact, be loose and fancy with the dollars.
Loose and fancy. Yes, no looseness and no fancy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the old coach in me comes out when I talk to the fiscal responsibility side, and that is that success breeds success. And the greatest form of success that you can show is that you are truly a guardian and a steward of the donor's gift. If a person is willing to reach into their pocket and give you their money, that is almost a spiritual bond.
Absolutely.
And you cannot violate that. But you can go back to them 1 year later and say, I wanted to share something with you. Your gift allowed me to feed 15 families that wouldn't have been fed in this neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And I'd like you to think about maybe increasing your gift this year. And that donor is going to look back at you and say, tell me what my gift really did in terms of, can you break that out per plate? Can you tell me what does that mean in terms of the van that delivers? Can you tell me how does that look in the whole picture of things? And you build relationships with donors by making sure that you have a constant thread of fiscal responsibility.
Right.
Donors are savvy, and donors understand that it takes money to make the mission work. But they're not going to tolerate you pulling up in a Jaguar.
Oh, absolutely not.
That's not going to happen.
And that accountability is even stronger now. And, when I first started, I don't have the same tenure in nonprofits as you do, but when I first started working in nonprofits, it was 30 years ago. And the accountability in 2025, 26 is even more stringent. People want specifics and details around where their money is going.
Without a doubt.
And you have to have records. You have to have financial statements. You have to be able to do a 990. All of that stuff is important. The moment you take $1,
you better believe it.
You are responsible for that. And I love that, because the accountability piece is very, very important. And you driving in a Jaguar is not going to go over well when you're like, well, only 5 cents of what you gave me went to the hungry folk, and the rest of it went in my pocket.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you have to, walk around and be St. Vincent de Paul, and wear a wool shirt, but there is a reality to the fact that if you were lucky enough to get a foundation to give you a grant, please put this in your toolbox. Hit all compliance deadlines, because there's someone on the other side of the fence that's looking at those deadlines, and they're looking for reports, and they want receipts, and they want to know that their gift is going towards mission delivery.
Absolutely.
Please. And make sure that if you only have a 6-person board and you only meet quarterly, make sure that the third thing on the agenda is always the finance report.
The financial statements.
And please have an audit done.
Yes. Yes.
Please understand that fiscal responsibility is so important for the non-for-profit world.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that we have that allows us to move forward.
Right. And I like to think of nonprofits as, when you put it in perspective, we've got for-profits, that's the president. And then our nonprofits are Congress, right? They're the checks and balances that keeps everything flowing in our community, in our society, in our world.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it right, we're damaging that, that purse, that congressional review, that check and balance. And I think that it's so important to how we serve and deliver things throughout humanity, throughout our collective.
Yeah. We're a big part of the economy. 1 out of every 8 paychecks in the American economy is attached to a non-for-profit.
Wow. That's significant.
Another factoid for you.
Well, speaking of factoids, let's bring it home, because one thing I'd like for you to do, if you could leave leaders with one mindset shift that would improve sustainability and impact, what would it be?
Focus on the musts. I just finished a seminar where I walked people through non-for-profits that spend all of their time on delivering nice-tos will close their doors. And non-for-profits are, unfortunately, the ministry of hurt feelings. Too many people don't want to say no, when in fact, if you can educate your constituents, your board, your staff to understand that everything has to be driven by the musts first. Prioritize the musts. It's not that we don't want to hear your ideas about whether we can do the following or change the following. We'll get to them, but right now, our board, our committees, and our staff have stated that these are the 5 most important things for us to do to move forward.
Yeah.
Run your nonprofit as if it were a for-profit. Have a strategic plan that's specifically aimed at musts. These things, and there's a reason that we use the term must.
Yeah.
Must is a very powerful word. You must do this to move forward.
It's not optional.
There's no option.
I love that.
There's a lot of options attached to nice-tos.
Yes. Or should-us.
But we all know humankind likes to do things that are nice.
Yeah.
We like to do the things we like to do. But musts are often attached to
discipline,
hard work, discipline, a plan, accountability.
Commitment. Yep.
All of those things, by the way, that you'll find in every book attached to a for-profit are attached in a non-for-profit.
I love that. This has been amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, we got it. I think that we could really break down even the littlest pieces of nonprofits and kind of what they're going through, and how the synergies between the for-profit side and the nonprofit side really do go together. And you have brought such a wealth of knowledge and all those amazing factoids to the table. I can't imagine. So I am so excited that you joined me today. Thank you so much. So how can folks find you? Like if they want to talk more, dive in, check you out, where should they go?
I would tell them to just go right to the website, Harry at the501pros.com.
Love it. Love it. Or check you out here at Cuyahoga Community College.
Nonprofit Sign up for the nonprofit track.
Yeah, you can get direct access to him.
We'd love that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much. There you guys have it. We really broke it down for you today. If you're a nonprofit founder, if you're someone out there who is envisioning their dream and you're not sure which direction to go, or you've decided that going the non-for-profit route is where you want to go, you got to know all the factoids that Harry gave you today is where it's at. Thank you so much for joining us on Speaking Entrepreneurship. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Mwah!
Thank you for tuning in to today's podcast, brought to you by the Center for Entrepreneurs at Corporate College. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow entrepreneurs. Tune back in to stay connected with us for more insights and resources to help you build, innovate, and thrive.